Welcome to Doctor's Nutrition. I'm Dr. Jim.
And I'm Dr. Janine.
Today we're going to be talking about something very important to you. You probably don't realize just how important.
Right.
Magnesium deficiency.
People don't realize how important it is and what kind of detrimental effects you can have when you need magnesium. And you probably don't realize, probably most of you out there need magnesium. And we're going to talk about why everybody needs magnesium and why it is so deficient in our society.
Very true.
Yeah.
So let's get started.
Yeah. Like I said, we definitely on magnesium. Over the years, we have seen so many people that have had all these massive problems, and it can actually help simple magnesium between headaches and cardiovascular problems. And, research shows that these subclinical magnesium deficiencies are rampant, and it's pose a severe health issue.
It is, and something that we've noticed over the years, because we do a lot of lab work on a lot of different patients, okay? And we always put magnesium, even though it's a serum magnesium, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later, about the serum versus RBC or something like that. We'll talk about that. But we always do a simple serum magnesium on almost every lab panel that we do.
Yes.
And when we get labs brought in from other doctors, the patient says, well, gee, I just had my labs done. Would you look at those? It's rare that we ever see a magnesium level done.
We see it if somebody's been in the hospital, because in the hospital setting, they say that 56% of all people that go into ICU have a magnesium deficiency. Well, maybe that magnesium deficiency could have been part of the reason they end up in ICU.
Could very well
maybe if you got your magnesium checked earlier and you know what's going on in your body, you can actually prevent some of these problems. And that's what we're really big into is prevention.
Right.
You got to prevent, but how do you prevent if you don't know it's there?
Yeah.
Now, with magnesium, like I said, it's usually missed because, like he mentioned, the serum magnesium test is not that accurate. It's only 1% of the magnesium in your body. So only 1% and the rest of it's in your cells. Now, there is other testing like a serum RBC magnesium that you can do,
right,
which is a better test. Now, with magnesium, another thing is the ranges. All ranges on labs are based on a sample of the population. Okay, so you have the whole population and they take basically a bell curve and they make a range. Well, what happens if 90-something% of all those people that they're testing are deficient?
Yeah, I mean, and this is something that we see, and we've noticed a long time, years and years ago, is the way they come up with these new curves. Because, like, say, when I go back and look at when I was in school a long time ago, the ranges were much different.
Right.
And it was based on, again, back then, the population was a little bit better off than they are today.
Probably ate better, probably didn't need as much packaged processed food.
Well, it wasn't available.
So the magnesium levels may have been better. But anyway, okay, let's just say these people were deficient, and that's what you're basing the serum magnesium on.
Right.
So when we do a serum magnesium, which we do because it's an inexpensive test and it's easy to put in the panel and not have to increase the cost of the panel, we actually, anybody on not on the high end, actually needs magnesium. So magnesium is one of those things that is so deficient in Americans today.
Right.
Now, it plays a crucial role in regulating blood sugar, hormones, muscle function, nerve transmissions. Those are kind of important things in the body.
Even your cellular integrity, and something as basic as DNA and RNA synthesis. If you don't have the enough magnesium, it ain't going to happen very well. Let's put it that way.
And it also works on ATP production, which is in the mitochondria. Mitochondria is the powerhouse of your cell, and your cells is what produces cellular energy. Without magnesium, you can't produce that cellular energy. So how many people today are saying they're fatigued? A lot.
Oh, just about everybody that comes in.
And there's a lot of people that can be helped with just simple magnesium.
Yeah.
The research shows that most Americans do not meet what they call the RDA, which is recommended daily allowance.
That's enough to keep you alive, maybe.
Maybe. It keeps you from dying, don't keep you healthy. So people are not even hitting that mark most of the time. What do you do to improve your magnesium? For one, it's hard to get through the diet. It usually does take supplementation. I would say it almost always takes supplementation.
Yeah, it's rare that you would ever see somebody, and we've had people come in over the years and say, I want to do this RBC magnesium because I understand that's a better test. Well, it is. Because basically what you do is you take your red blood cells, you crush them, you separate them out, and you crush them. and you see how much magnesium is inside them.
Right.
So it's a very accurate, it's a complicated test, but it's a very accurate test as far as telling you what's inside the cell. And we get a lot of people that come in and ask to do that. So, okay, we'll do it. And if they're not supplementing, I've never seen somebody come back with adequate magnesium if they're not supplementing.
We see some that are adequate, but on the low end.
Oh, well,
I always say
okay,
I've
but
seen them adequate,
that's
but on
not
the low end.
optimal.
Right.
It's not
We want to go
optimal.
optimal, which is
Right.
more on the higher end.
Right.
There's a lot of causes of why we're seeing so much magnesium deficiency today, and we've already talked about the poor diet and the soil. We know that.
Yeah, the soil is
But-
depleted. They've talked about that ad infinitum, and that's true. And if you have no magnesium in the soil, no matter what you eat, probably not going to fix
But
it.
there's other reasons that we're seeing a higher deficiency in magnesium. And one is a lot of the medications people are taking.
Oh.
Especially when it comes to your acid reducers, which keep you from absorbing your magnesium.
And your
your
diuretics.
diuretics, which
Yes.
make you excrete your magnesium.
Right.
So those definitely, people on those medications are almost always depleted.
And something else and people don't think a lot about this. Maybe they have a drink or so, alcohol. But if you overconsume alcohol, it's not going to be good for that. And the biggie, this is a biggie nowadays, obesity.
Yeah. Even obesity. I mean, you would think the people were getting more intake, but they're actually getting a lot of packaged processed food. And packaged processed food is definitely void of magnesium.
Another really biggie, and this is that really causes a lot of problem, excessive calcium or phosphorus intake. And we have people come in all the time and they've been diagnosed with osteopenia or something. Oh, take your calcium.
They always say calcium, but they forget about the magnesium.
They forget about magnesium,
And if you
right.
take calcium without magnesium, then you're actually going to increase the bone loss. So that is one of the things that you don't want to do. You don't want to take calcium without magnesium. Other nutrients or minerals that actually play a big role is salt,
Right.
selenium,
Right.
vitamin D. All that plays a role in your magnesium.
Now, on that vitamin D, you can have too little or
too much.
Either one. We probably see more too little than
But
too
definitely
much.
we see too little.
But you can get too
But
much.
since COVID, we've seen some people with too much because everybody started taking it during
Yeah.
COVID. And some people started thinking more is better, and it's not necessarily better. One reason we always suggest that you actually check your vitamin D levels twice a year.
Exactly.
But that is one of the things that can affect your magnesium.
Yeah.
Now, the malabsorption disorders and all the gastrointestinal
Yes.
problems they're getting worse. And one of the reasons is stress. Stress kind of causes more gastrointestinal problems, and it can actually make malabsorption of magnesium. People with kidney problems,
Right.
it's like almost any problem and deficiency out there makes magnesium worse.
So why is magnesium so important? Well, there's over 300 different enzymes in your body that have to have magnesium to function properly.
Yes. Yeah, and that's a lot. And for things to work properly, you got to have things that work together.
Yes.
You have to have a good ionic balance. You got to have a balance of magnesium and calcium and sodium and potassium and all those together. And magnesium is so important in that balance. It's also for cellular and tissue integrity, like we talked about before, the RNA, DNA. It even helps with protein synthesis.
And something that's really big, because we get this question a lot, hormone production.
Yes.
Because that's a common thing, oh God, can I get my hormones checked? You almost ought to ask immediately, are you taking magnesium?
Yeah.
Because if you're not, they're probably not going to be great.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's a biggie.
But, it helps with, the nervous system and muscles and muscle contraction and all those. So, all of it's so important. And that's why your symptoms of magnesium deficiency are a lot to do with muscles.
Mm-hmm.
So you have your weakness, your cramps, your pain. And then what's the most demanding muscle in your body?
I think it's the heart.
Your heart.
Right, yeah.
So we know how much it affects muscles. So it affects the heart dramatically. So it can affect blood pressure. It can make arrhythmias, which is irregular heartbeats.
And we're seeing a lot of that nowadays. I mean,
Yep.
in the past, say 5 years or so, 10 years for sure, we have seen more different types of arrhythmias walk in than it's ever before. It's just so commonplace now. Everybody's got something.
It can affect heart failure.
Right.
Your heart actually, without magnesium, can't pump effectively. And that's what heart failure is when the heart contraction is not the way it should be.
Right.
It also, research has shown that it increases plaque buildup when you're deficient in magnesium.
Yes.
And it also increases your risk of a stroke and a heart attack. So how many people out there want that risk? I don't think anybody would want to have that risk.
I don't
and something
think.
as simple as magnesium can help.
Your neurological stuff's also really important. We see an awful lot of folks come in with essential tremors, things like that. Vertigo, gosh, vertigo is one that we probably see almost on a daily basis.
Right.
The people that call us or come in, and they've got vertigo. What have you got for that? And everybody's looking for a magic bullet. Don't know that there is a magic bullet, but something as simple as magnesium just might help. That's for sure.
And the symptoms that I've seen it help so much over the years is migraine headaches.
Oh, gosh,
people come
yes.
in that have done everything for migraine headaches, and they're taking all this medication, they're doing all this stuff for migraines. They try simple magnesium and they can't believe the difference. It also helps with insomnia. So it actually helps with sleeping better. That's another thing people can tell a dramatic difference pretty fast.
Pretty quick.
Now, one that a lot of people don't think of as much is the osteoporosis. How many women out there have osteoporosis? A lot. And that's, on osteoporosis, I ran across research that showed that 87% of the women diagnosed with osteoporosis have a magnesium deficiency. Now, the way they tested it was not just a serum magnesium test. They did what they call a magnesium loading test.
Mm-hmm.
And on the magnesium loading test, 87% were deficient in magnesium. That is a lot.
That's huge.
It is. So many people out there are told by their doctors to take calcium, but they're never told to take magnesium.
And at the same time, now that was on osteoporosis, but at the same time, if you've had your DEXA scan done and they told you, well, you've got osteopenia, you don't have osteoporosis.
You don't want to wait until you have osteoporosis.
You don't want to wait, right. Let's prevent that from happening. So that's something that's really important is to let's get in there and do something to prevent that from happening, for sure.
And even some of your, mental things, depression, anxiety, aggression, things like that can be a magnesium deficiency as well. Because we see a lot of people that do with their kids that have a lot of children that are actually having a lot of behavioral problems.
Right.
And magnesium definitely can be used to help calm them down. So there's so many things that are affected by magnesium. And like we said before, the testing is not that accurate because I think the levels are wrong for one, and it's only 1% of what's in the body.
Mm-hmm.
RBC magnesium test is better. Another test that you can do is a muscle biopsy, but that is not very fun.
You'll have it done once.
Not something that I recommend. We actually say, if you have any of these symptoms, if you have a lot of this risk in your family, if you think there's anything out there that, possible that you have a magnesium deficiency, as long as you don't have a kidney problem or a kidney disorder, it's only people that shouldn't take a lot of magnesium, just try magnesium. You can increase your magnesium-rich foods like your green leafy vegetables, your spinach, your kale, your nuts and seeds, and your black beans and dark chocolate. They all have magnesium. But like we said, a lot of the soil is basically don't have it anymore.
It's deficient.
So you really probably want to try to supplement your magnesium.
Right. So it's probably the only accurate way to make sure that you're getting what
we get
you
a lot of questions about magnesium supplements. I have people come in every day and say, what kind of magnesium do I need? There's so many different kinds. What am I supposed to take? And there are a lot of different kinds. And what it is what magnesium is bound to. I always tell people when looking at a magnesium supplement, if it has dyes and chemicals in it, you don't want it. I don't care what kind it is. And believe it or not, we see a lot of supplements that are dyed. They use actual synthetic dye on a supplement, which to me is kind of crazy because you're trying to be healthy. If it ever has things like that, don't take it. Then when you start looking at, okay, what kind? Your magnesium glycinate is known for to be very absorbable. That's one of the ones we use a lot.
We use a lot.
It helps with your sleep and relaxation and anxiety because glycine itself is an amino acid that actually helps with those things.
Right.
Blood pressure.
Right.
You can use the taurate.
Well, the taurine is good because that's where you got magnesium and taurine, the amino acid taurine bound together. And taurine's so good for longevity, amongst other things. That's always a biggie.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, it's so good for the heart.
And people come in that are athletes or they're complaining more of muscle pain. They're complaining more about muscles and fatigue. Then you have the malate. It actually bounds magnesium to malic acid. Mm-hmm. And that is another really good absorbable form. And it is another one that you can actually do for muscles. Now, the citrate is not something that we like to use if somebody is real deficient in magnesium.
No, and there's been a lot of controversy on it. As a matter of fact, I'm sure you'll probably see some YouTube videos that where the people are telling you, don't do magnesium citrate. I kind of agree to a point. However, one of the other most common complaints we get is constipation. Okay.
Yes,
and if you're a constipation patient, one of the best ways to treat that constipation is not with Senecot or something like that, or any of the Senna extracts, but the best way to start, magnesium citrate. It gives you magnesium. You're going to absorb some of it.
Some of it.
But what you don't absorb is going to help kind of soften that stool. You're going to have a better elimination process going on. So it's a much better source.
Yeah, magnesium citrate, when you take it, your body will absorb a little bit, but what it can't absorb, because it's not as absorbable, it dumps it into the bowels. And then it attracts water, because magnesium is known to be hydrophilic, which means it attracts water. So when you have magnesium and it dumps it in the bowels to get rid of it, it attracts water, and then it actually just makes you have a softer stool.
Right.
So it makes you go to the bathroom easier. So we use citrate in that situation, constipation. When somebody has a magnesium deficiency where it's really important for highest absorption, that is not the one that we use.
Now we'll turn to some of the others like the glycinate and so on and so forth.
Glycinate and the malate and the taurate, and those are all very absorbable magnesiums. Now, another very good magnesium is the threonate. And interesting thing about threonate, it's been proven to cross the brain barrier.
The blood-brain barrier, right.
A lot of things can't do that. This type of magnesium can. So it enhances your brain health and cognitive function so much better than probably the other magnesiums.
No doubt.
It is also one that we use for sleep. Because of it crossing the brain barrier, it's another one that we do use for sleep. It is a little bit more expensive than other magnesiums. And pretty much it is across the board in every brand. It is just a more expensive magnesium to make. So that is one that we recommend a lot as well. Now, we don't usually recommend oxide. It's just not as absorbable. We don't necessarily like it. It's not one that we use a lot, but it's one that is out there.
It's used a lot because it's cheap.
It is.
It's probably the cheapest form.
It's probably the cheapest form. Now, we have magnesiums we've talked about. We have a lot of different magnesiums in our line of products. We use Triple Mag a lot, our Triple Mag supplement, because it is glycinate, taurate, and malate together. We use the threonate a lot because it crosses the brain barrier. But when people are deficient in magnesium and they take magnesium, it makes a giant difference, and they can see it pretty quick.
It really does.
We've had people over the years come in with blood pressure issues. Nothing was controlling their blood pressure. They add some magnesium or either our vascular support BP, which also has magnesium in it, and can't believe the difference.
Yeah.
Whether you have migraine headaches, whether you have high blood pressure, constipation, all these things, you might just try some magnesium. And it's very simple.
If you have tried magnesium of any sort and it worked for you, leave us a comment down there below. Kind of spread the word. Help us help other people.
Help us spread the word that this stuff works. So you tell people your experience with the magnesium. And if you have any questions on forms or what might be best for you,
leave a comment.
We'll
get back to you.
Ask a question. We will definitely get back to you.
All right. No doubt about it. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you learned a little bit about magnesium and why you probably need to take some magnesium. And we'll see you on the next video. Thank you so much.